Hey everybody. So today we have a very special guest. We have my good friend Prabhu. Now Prabhu is part of the new mafia, the Zoho mafia, and from there he recently launched a phenomenal company, Facilio. They've recently raised a nice amount of money, and I'm very excited to have him here with us to share his journey and the lessons he learned along the way so we can apply them to our own life. So Prabhu, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, friend. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Sure, it's such an honor. So Prabhu, let's go all the way to the beginning. So before Facilio, before you did Zoho, and before everything else, let's take a step back and understand where are you from and what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, so I'm born and brought up in Chennai, and so I did my schooling in Chennai, and then I did my engineering college in a small town named Vellore, which is like 3 to 4 hours drive from Chennai. And after my engineering, Zoho was my first job. I joined Zoho in mid 2000 as a quality engineer. That's how I started my career in Zoho. Then the whole journey was around 17 years at Zoho. I was part of the oldest product division of Zoho. The whole Zoho itself was earlier called as AdventNet. And the company started with this first product name as WebNMS, which was software that Zoho was selling into large telecom companies and telecom equipment vendors across the world. I joined as part of that team, and then around 2004-5, I started heading the whole division of WebNMS, and that's a phase where Zoho was into this new life of expanding into newer things. Like they started out with Zoho.com and other divisions, and when that happened, I started. I was made the product manager of WebNMS, and I took over that division. And until I left, I was heading that division.
Incredible. So before we continue on your whole career path, I want to say it's something that I tell everybody from Chennai. There's something about the people from Chennai that just makes them such nice people. I don't know if it's something in the air, the atmosphere, the culture. I don't know what it is, but the people that I meet from Chennai are just phenomenal, really kind, nice people.
Okay, maybe it's a coffee that is making them here. Chennai is known for the special filter coffee. People love that.
Mm-hmm.
There is something in that Chennai coffee.
I definitely got to try it out then. I want a piece of it.
Okay. So another thing is, coming back to the Chennai. Recently, a lot of people I interact in the startup community, especially who are outside Chennai, within India, outside India. They start asking why Chennai is, especially on a B2B SaaS side, what is that? Maybe it's something to do with Chennai is it's a lot of very conservative city, more slow paced compared to Bangalore or Mumbai. People generally have a relatively long-term view of life in Chennai. Even when I say life, it's the career itself. So you can see, it's very common for Chennai people to simple things, start buying a own house around their office, wherever they work. Okay, so which means buying a house here is very expensive. It's probably like a 15-year plan, but they go and commit that plan around an office that they are currently working in. Okay, so that level of long-term vision generally people have, and maybe that fits well with a B2B startup, wherein the B2B thing is you have to go global, you have to be very patient, look at 5-year, 10-year cycle. So there is maybe something common.
But moving forward from that, and going right into it, you were at Zoho for 17 years.
Yep.
And I'm sure you get this question a lot. Why start now?
So for me, frankly, the decision to decide within myself, that I have to move out of Zoho was the most difficult, most painful one, frankly. And once I decided that everything else was relatively much easier for me, like funding and having a team to build a product, everything else like finding office and all those things. Um, because one is Zoho is really a very good place to work, okay, to build your career, and over a period of time, you really get attached to what you're doing. Okay, first, whatever product you're working, okay, and then the company.
Right.
And then you'll always have few people who become like either mentor, friends, whatever it is. Okay, so the decision to move away was really difficult, but at one stage I thought. So it's been like 17 years, and I've gained a lot of experience, and I also done, I think, fairly like good things there. I've achieved something. I've given back to the company. So what next? So as you said, now India overall is in a stage where the whole this startup thing is more conductive now. Okay, and I thought with my experience that I've gained, and I've got a with Zoho, like we were selling mostly into global clients, and unlike other product divisions within Zoho, the one that I was heading, we were doing like really large enterprise sales. Okay, we would sell into telcos across the world, like the AT&T, Cox, Time Warner in US, Sprint, Verizon types. Okay, across like Europe, right from Japan to China to US, Europe and India. Okay, so with those exposure, and so I thought like, and then I built the Internet of Things product division within Zoho from the scratch. So I started around 2011 on building out the IoT product line. So I got very passionate about what these tech can bring, tech like IoT or AI can bring. So I thought it is good to move out and start building out something that can have a global impact. Okay. And I was also fortunate to have friends and my colleagues and my team members within Zoho who had a lot of trust in me, and they were very happy when I told them that I really want to start something. Okay. So that's how it happened. Um, so in short, it was like 17 years. You've done a lot of things. You've gained a lot of experience, exposure, and how do you multiply that? How do you make an impact with that? I thought it is good to come out and start something new and build something out of India on a global scale.
Amazing. Chennai has a tremendous startup ecosystem brewing in it, a SaaS platform, B2B, and it's all coming out of the like, I like to call it the Zoho Mafia. So you have Freshworks, now you have Facilio, and then you have ChargeBeat, Krish, great guy. You have a tremendous amount, and you have WebEngage, not from Zoho, it's not from Zoho, but it's also another company in Chennai, B2B. Is a real SaaS ecosystem brewing up, and it's incredible to see all these companies spewing out of it. So, moving forward, so you obviously get this entrepreneurial bug. You're like, I did my 17 years. Now I got to create something on my own. Now I got to produce something. Yep. So what is the backstory of Facilio? Why specifically that idea? And how did it even come about?
Right. So I'll start with, so one is what I did in Zoho was always this large enterprise. So we would manage a telecom network that was spread across US, that types, millions of equipment. That's the scale we were working. And then I started out this Internet of Things product line, which was IoT is the deep thing now. Is the technology that goes and impacts into any domain, whether it's right from healthcare to transportation to everything. Okay. So I got very passionate about how do you use these tech, okay, to go and disrupt industry and create value for customers. So when we decided to do Facilio, even though we actually kept the name Facilio like after several months of starting. So when we decided to start, so we looked at what we can do and how you can apply tech and then bring in a substantial disruption, change, and then value creation.
Right.
And a few things we decided is going to be B2B because I grew up as a B2B guy, and then it is something around IoT as a how do you leverage IoT and AI as tech. Then we looked at so if you see IoT, you can apply it to industry as a market, transportation as a market, healthcare as a market, oil and gas as a market, and then buildings. So we picked buildings as a market. The reason being, one, if you look at buildings, the impact it has on the whole humanity itself is very, very high. Imagine some way or other, more than 80% of your lifetime you are spending inside a building. Either it is school or home or hospital, work, cinema, shopping, whatever. Right? It's more than 80% you are inside a building. And then, so it impacts beings. You spend a lot of time inside building, and then that also impacts your wellness, health. It has a significant impact in form of the environment you have in a building, like simple things like air conditioning, heating, cooling, and all those things. And then the air you breathe inside a building. So there's a lot of science that goes into what are the air particles, how much of CO2 level is there, how many people are there in building, how much of fresh air is there, and then the lighting, what kind of lighting you are exposed to from those things. So it has a significant impact on you. And then if you look at particularly the commercial buildings alone, they consume 40% of global energy, including all forms of energy. 40% goes into commercial building alone without the homes. So it has a impact on your planet as such. And then buildings are also very inspirational across the humanity. Just imagine any city. You imagine Sydney, what you get is that nice building in Sydney. You imagine Dubai, you get a picture of Burj Khalifa. So for humans, buildings have always been a very aspirational thing. So that also attracted us towards how do we use technology, to transform how people use buildings, people experience building, and people maintain building, people make money out of buildings. So that's a core thing. So it was very fascinating, and because it has a global impact, buildings are everywhere. Even the good thing is, if you look at today, the developing countries are the one where a lot of buildings are being built, right? And then the people moving into nicer homes, better homes, particularly in like developing countries. So it's a global impact, and there is a lot of the industry as such has not adopted really a lot of better tech, like how a transportation industry like Uber has taken it, right? Or your food ordering systems today, or your hotel booking, flight booking, all those things. Right. Similar kind of disruption hasn't happened in a way people experience, use buildings. So we thought with our experience and with what I have done earlier in IoT, and we can really make a big impact in the way buildings are operated when you apply tech like AI and IoT, and then create a business that is truly global and that can transform and that can actually impact billions of people. So that is a core backstory of Facilio.
Wow. That's like a whole new view of looking at how to deal with buildings. Right. It's like literally taking a building and looking at it as a living existence.
Yes.
Yes. How to improve the efficiency in buildings. And you have, and it's looking at, you're combining a few components together, which is amazing. You're looking at the people aspect, the building aspect, and the sustainability of the building and everything like that, and connecting them together through IoT or machine learning and machines and everything, and making one. So it's a real living entity have to do it. That's really phenomenal. It's just,
yeah, it's very similar. Yeah. So buildings, buildings are meaning this industry is striving for such a kind of innovation because the way it is built. If you look at any large commercial portfolio owner who is our target customer, they will own like 40, 50 buildings. Okay?
Mhm.
But not all 40, 50 buildings are built together. Okay? They are built over a period of several years. So they might have built something, they might have acquired something, okay? But now they want to operate it. They are the owners and they provide buildings as a service to customers. And you also see that there are two major waves that are happening in this industry. Number one wave is the whole how do you see workplace today? Okay?
Right.
Workplace 20 years back and now, workplace is a very, very important part of the business itself. Okay? If businesses are looking workplace as a very serious component, one to attract talent and then to make sure the whole employees are really productive, they are here long term, all those stuff. Okay, so that is one wave that is happening across industry where either it's workplace or even the way people want to experience malls or entertainment complexes. Okay, it's more of experience as a service, and it's no more square feet sale in real estate. Right? Okay, that is one wave. The next wave is the whole smart building wave. Okay. So buildings are consuming a lot of typically sensor hardware driven technologies like better smarter cameras, smarter wireless sensors, more sensors, all those things. But what is lacking is from a building owner point of view, can they have from a layman level, I will explain, like can a building owner manage a building like how they are ordering food in over an app, right, or how they are going to a website and booking a travel ticket. Okay, so 20 years back it was very complex, even booking a flight ticket. So can that level of sophistication be provided so that it impacts that business, real estate owner as a business, plus it impacts even the workforce that is maintaining the building. So if you look at for every 1,000 occupants in a building, you need anywhere between 4 to 8% of people to support the facility staff. Okay? Right. So from an Indian developing world point of world, the number is 8. So there are 8 people supporting every 100 people sitting in a building in form of security and services, maintenance, and other things. I think in the more mature market, it is 4 to 5%. Okay, and in large buildings, when there are like 10,000 people, you're talking about hundreds of people who are working on maintenance. And again,
Prabhu, 1 second. You have me sold. You don't have to sell me the company. I believe in it. I think Facilio is amazing. It's incredible. Let's move forward a little bit, and go through. So obviously, launch this incredible company, Facilio, and the concept is there, and as it's pretty improving. You're currently, I think, in over 100. Something like over 1 million square feet already.
20 million square feet. Yeah.
20 million square feet and everything like that. So when you go ahead and decide you're going to specifically focus on this concept, making buildings a real live entity and really understand them. Right. Coming from Zoho for 17 years, was it transition into entrepreneurship? A difficult transition.
Yeah, so that is one thing. One good thing about the whole Zoho and even the Zoho mafia thing is, so we learn a lot and we get exposed to a lot of startup-like environment within Zoho. Okay? If you look at Zoho, there are like 100+ products, and each of these product teams are like smaller groups, and they work like a startup among themselves. They are self-sustained. And while there are some very large established products, you always have somebody going and starting out a small product with just 2-member team, and then maybe they will work for 1-2 years on that, release it based on traction that the team grows. Okay, so there is a lot of smaller startup within Zoho. Okay, that's how it is. So the transition was much easier from a operational point of view, like what to do, how to do, how do you go from point A to B, making lesser mistakes. That is very, very critical in a startup, early stage startup, where how do you move from one stage to other stage, like from a starting to product market fit, making very less mistakes. Okay, so that transition was comparatively easy, smoother for me, because that's how one is what we learn in Zoho, and particularly the division that I was heading. It was the smallest division within Zoho, and we worked really like a startup. And then we were always competing with very large companies like IBMs and HPs even there. Okay, so you have to have a small team and then compete with very large companies, global. So that helped us into transition was much more easier.
Incredible. And I'm sure the core values or and principles of Zoho. I'm sure a lot of them you probably have taken with you,
Right.
Facilio.
Yeah, true.
What are some of the things you have taken that is the bedrock culture of Facilio?
Right. So one is even me as a person. In my career, corporate career, so I was always been a people person. Okay, so lot of great things I strongly believe gets done by when you have a set of team. It's not one individual, set of people who are really passionate, and then they understand each other. They are really motivated. They can do magic. Okay, so that's how I see when I was in my earlier life. So that is something we carry here, even in Facilio. It is really around people. Okay, so that is one thing which is part of the culture. Okay? When the people part is really corrected, when you have a team that is well clicked, who understand each other, helping each other, and they all have a common vision. They understand that vision. A lot of things falls into place.
Right.
That is one strong thing that defines the culture even at Facilio.
Incredible. And culture is, it's the same thing like the building. The building, you aren't trying to create the building as a living entity.
Right.
The culture is a living entity too. Something has to be nurtured, watched, taken care of, and grown together with it also.
Yeah.
So you had a phenomenal story. You launched Facilio, and then you got funded relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What is the backstory to that?
Yeah, so the funding stuff, frankly, when we started, so we are very clear that we need to go to the funded model. Okay, one is it's global, fairly large enterprise, fairly large product. Okay, and we are sort of also building a new category of product within this space. So we decided we have to be funded. We have to be a funded company. Okay, and fortunately we got funded very early, like even before, like on day zero, basically. Okay, we did some analysis on. We are very particular about one was we are very confident that we will get funded. Okay, and then we took a methodical approach on what kind of company would be good for us at this stage to partner. Okay, then we had few in mind. Okay, and then we started reaching out through some known contacts. From the actual funding perspective, we actually got funded in the first meeting itself. So I met with Shekhar. He happened to be in Chennai, and then it was supposed to be an initial coffee meeting, 30-minute meeting, but we ended up speaking like an hour. And even the first meeting itself, at the end of the meeting, we had a deal basically. So we agreed that we are funded, and then so it was so quick then.
And what did you have then at that point in time? Did you have a product even? Did you just have a slide deck? What did you have?
So we did not have a product. But we are very clear on what is a market we are going after, and at a high level, what we are going to build. And then we also had some decent level of clarity on go-to-market, like what we will build, where we will sell, to whom we will sell, and how we are going to do a go-to-market strategy. So we had this level of clarity, and that's it. So we didn't even do any presentation until we got funded.
Wow.
We didn't do a pitch deck. We actually had a rough pitch deck, but I never presented it to Shekhar until we got funded. Later I presented. So it was more on the idea, but we had very good clarity on what to be done, how to do, and where to go.
And you had a phenomenal team too.
Yes.
That's just amazing. Those tips you just said, having a clear go-to-market strategy, having a clear vision, and a proper way for execution. Right. Obviously a strong team, and obviously knowing what your product is and the market you're tackling. That's it.
Yes, and also you have to do some level of research on. When you are a seed funded, also you should have some level of, one is you have to be confident on what you're doing, and then try to do some level of like product market fit. Even the partner you are bringing in, like what kind of partner will fit for you, your team, your idea, your market. Okay, when you're in SaaS, who's the best VC firm? When you're really seed stage, going after a global market, who could culturally fit for you, who has that similar mindset of like 7-year, 10-year outlook, who can work along with you, even travel during a difficult phase, that type of things.
Right. Sure. So what is your advice? Facilio, you launched together with 3 other co-founders. Mm-hmm. And, there's so many things, you hear so many stories, so many things out there about how many co-founders to have, if to have co-founders. Obviously having co-founders is great, but also how to get along with multiple co-founders.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for that? And what have you found that has worked for you guys?
Yeah, I think, in general, I think you should have at least more than one person in a startup when you really have to execute well. Okay, but you can be Elon Musk to break that. Okay, but in general, particularly in a tech side startup, it is actually really good to have co-founders, more than one. Second one is. But it should be a natural, from my experience, or what we have experienced in the last 1.5 years plus what I'm seeing. So it should be it would be ideal if it is a natural coming together of people, okay? On a common vision, rather than, okay, I don't have a tech co-founder, can I go and recruit types? Okay, that will work out when you have some level of product market fit. Okay. But if you are entering into an unexplored territory, and so in that environment, it is good to have co-founder who come along naturally. And I say naturally, even the roles. So you should be very clear on who's going to do what. Okay, and that has to happen naturally, rather than you deciding, okay, I'll be the CEO, you be the CTO. Okay. So it happened for us. It was like from day one, it was very easy, like where we had Yogi, he was always been a tech guy, he loves tech, and he was my college mate, and then he was in Zoho for all along, like me. And then if you take Raj has always been more into customer facing roles. We most in 17 years, I think 12 years we worked in same team. For some time he was my manager, from some time I was his manager. Okay, so it was a natural fit for us. But generally it is good that if it is a natural coming together of people and there is a fitment, rather than forcing thing.
Right. Totally. I think you can't force anything. Everything has to come in more of a natural perspective. It has to be obviously making sure that it comes something that everyone agrees to.
Yeah. So because I have seen some people where I get requests like, can you find me a co-founder? Okay? So that doesn't work out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have to discover your co-founder. You may not have friends who are tech co-founder, but like how you put effort and time for say funding, and you have to do this discovery of who will be that natural fit, because it is going to be at least a 10-year journey. Okay?
Right.
And there will be ups and downs, and how do you go along together is key.
It's a marriage, just like you got to put in the work. And, big issue is the fact that a lot of times people don't, not necessarily interview, but they think, they meet them for a little bit, they know them a little bit, and they think, we can build a product together without even really having tested the relationship, because the startup is really going to test your relationship with your co-founders. There's good times and bad times. Right. Facilio has recently just come and raised, $6.4 million. Yep. You raised from ASO, and then you also raised from Tiger Global, which gives it a lot of validation, especially Tiger, which is invested in, all the unicorns around the world, around India. And so what are the emotions, what is the validation that you have that this is going to, now it's going to work? Facilio is going to work and it's going to scale. As in before, it was just a startup. Now you're actually thinking, wow, we're onto something here. What's going on?
Okay. So post funding, one is, we are now a Series A company. We have that ammunition of the funding now. Okay. It's now, one is we have a clear product market fit. Okay. So when we started, we had a clear plan on we have to execute global, and US could be the largest market, and then it's a global market. But we had a clarity on we have to stick initially to a couple of markets. So we had that plan, and we are executing towards that plan. And our initial set of customers are very, very passionate about. They are like super duper champions for the product. Those things were happening, and then the whole Tiger thing happened just like that. Like within that also happened very fast, where I never presented anything to Lee. Also, I prepared a presentation, but I never presented to him. So it was again a coffee meet, and within like 30 minutes, we got maybe 40 minutes, we got into an agreement that this is going to be funded. Next day, maybe third day, we signed the term sheet. Both. Yeah. So now it's a matter of like how do we accelerate? Okay. How do we go and create a lot more value to customers? That's how I am seeing it. Okay. We have existing set of customers, and how do you scale and then grow really fast, and then go and touch upon a lot more the largest buildings of the world. That's what fascinates us from a founder team point of view. From a financial point of view, it's like how do we get into multiple market? How do you touch our next milestone could be like 5 million ARR types. Okay, how fast we go there. Okay, we are now thinking about how to set up teams and systems so that we are geared to do it. But the core product, the core culture, the core thought process is same, and it's just that we are multiplying it now.
It's just amazing. I can see and breathe your startup through you. Yeah. Just amazing to see the passion and the energy you have towards it, the way you talk about it. You're a living entity, Facilio.
Like how we make the buildings a living entity.
Yeah, exactly. You are it. I can see it coming through you. So what advice do you have? What are some important things that an entrepreneur should know before plunging in and starting a startup?
Yeah. So for me, this is my first startup. And what I tell could be more applicable for tech startups. So I would say you have to sit on that idea at least for a year. Okay? So if you are doing something new out of what you are doing, or if you are really young and all those things, it's better to sit on the idea for at least more than 6 months. Okay? Run this whole startup life among you, iterate until you get to a level of confidence that this is how you play it out and see. Okay, because once you start and then make mistakes, okay, they are very, very expensive. You will make mistakes, but how damaging they are matters. Life and death of a startup. Okay, some people they get very passionate about something and then immediately get started and then go and figure out how to sell, where to sell, and all those stuff. So it is good to have a mental model of who's a customer, the typical startup playbook, and then you can do pitch deck within you, run it and see how it goes for 2 months. Then iterate among yourself. Okay, that is something I would say that people have to do. Yeah. Otherwise, any iteration after you start up is going to be costly. Okay? Sit on that idea for some time, so that you live with that idea and you are ready to give up whatever it takes to go on that. Okay? Sure. That is the passion part, but also you have data, you have some sort of things that you yourself are convinced that this is really, I feel it is good, but this is how I will do it. Then you can go and look at other startups who have similar models, particularly failed startups, and then apply what happens to this model when the same thing happens to the other startup that failed. Okay. Right. There are a lot of failed startup people. There are startups that raise dozens of millions and then fail. It is actually better to go and look at probably what happened and then play that and then see what will happen if this happens. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then can you go and iterate your idea, change it to a level where you are theoretically confident on that, and then do it. There is no urgency in going and start up. Okay? Because the game itself is minimum 10-year game you're talking about, and whether you start now or start after 1 year is actually not a big thing. Okay? Right. You may think that when I don't start up now, somebody else will come and do, but those doesn't matter at all.
100%. And then, based off your experience, what are some tips for a B2B startup?
Mm-hmm. These might sound like very common. And again, this is my first startup. Based on what we have learned in last 1.5 years plus my other experience, and we also get to interact with a lot of other startups now very often. Axel, our investor, they do a great job in frequently bringing together entrepreneurs among their portfolio to talk to each other and form some sort of format. Okay. So one is this B2B is again a long-term game, number one, and you have to be crystal clear on your focus. Okay. That is something a lot of startups miss out, where even we were also iterating on that. So a lot of these learnings came from Axel also, particularly from Shaker, wherein you have to be very clear on what you want to do, very focused on one set of things initially. Okay. One set of things could be, in our case, we decided that we want to be the best software for office buildings. Okay. There could be hotels, hospitals, malls, so many types of commercial buildings, but we imagine office buildings as our ideal customer. Can Facilio be the best solution for office buildings first? So then we also picked up one particular sweet spot size of building. Okay? We want to go after an owner who has at least 20 buildings. Okay? So below that is not our sweet spot. So we pick those things and then execute it. So be focused, pick one core thing, crack that well, and then go and do other things. In B2B, you actually have a lot of time, number one, and there is no case of winner takes all in B2B, unlike your e-commerce or ride-sharing types. So when you have a good product, it solves a real problem in B2B. There are enough customers to take you into a large company. Okay? So we have to be confident about that, and then look at one problem, solve it, So that problem is most relevant for one set of customers.
Moving forward, who are some of the people that have made a difference in your life?
Okay. So one, my father, he passed away a couple of years back. I think my father had a lot of impact in the way I see life and I see other people, things like that. Even the people orientedness, those things come from that. The way how the impact he made on me. So, for example, when I came out, there are like at least 15 people who came along with me from Zoho, and many of them don't know that we got funded or we will be funded, and many of them did not even discuss about salaries I would be giving them. We started giving salary only after like 2-3 months because we didn't create bank accounts and all those things. Okay, and so that was possible because of one is the trust factor you build with people over a period of time, even in good times, bad times, all those things. So that my one is my father. Next to one is I have my mother's sisters. My mother has 2 sisters, so I actually grew up along with them. So they had a lot of impact in again these how do you come out of difficult situations and all the stuff. So they had a big impact in me. Okay. And this is not a person, but Zoho as an entity had a lot more impact in me, like how hardened you get to. So because when you start up, right, it's like a battlefield. Okay, you might be fighting within yourself also. Okay, so how do you get hardened and all those things? Zoho as an entity, particularly the product that I was handling, the Web NMS division, that had a lot of impact on me.
Wow, it's amazing to hear the not affirmation, but the love you still have for Zoho. It's just incredible to hear from you.
Yeah, and from an inspiration point of view, I see like I got inspired a lot by our own local example, Girish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fantastic story. We work together. We are friends, and then so I think he also had from an inspiration point of view, Girish had a lot of impact on all of us founders of Facilio.
Amazing. So what message do we give to younger Prabhu? You know, just finishing university, before working at Zoho, before anything, facing the real world for the first time. What do we tell him?
I would say, I would repeat, if I get the same chance, I would like to go back to Zoho and start my career. So from an advice point of view, again, like a typical Chennai guy, I would say look at long term. Anything, even your career, whatever it is, look at as a long term. Don't look at short term thing. That is something I have learned where if you are confident about what you do and if you are confident about where you want to get, okay, this is what I want to get. Everything is you have to be patient, but put lot of hard work. Okay, I see that you can do the sheer hard work, right? That has a lot of impact. You can be really smart and you can have tons of funding and all those things. But every little thing, even I do or that our team today does. We are still a smaller team. We are like 35 now. Okay? And it's more of sheer hard work. For example, many of us did not come from buildings as a market at all. Okay? Even in Zoho, we didn't build this product or we were not exposed to this domain. We were into a lot into telecom as a space, and then typical enterprise SaaS as a space. Buildings was completely new, and then what we are doing is completely transformational, like huge product, and the product is like customers. Everybody in the building will use Facilio. Okay, if a customer has like 50 buildings, and then there will be hundreds of people, all of them will use Facilio. It's such an impactful thing. So for us to do it right, it's very, very difficult to acquire that domain knowledge within a short period of time. It's not like a hard disk you can load into brain. Okay? Mm-hmm. But what we did is a sheer hard work where how do we learn from other people's mistakes? How do you learn from competition? how do you learn from your early adopter customer? We'll go and sit at the customer office, somehow try to pick their brains, all those things. We did not go to a consulting company, like we did not go to a Gartner type consulting company and say, can you help us in go to market strategy in buildings? Okay, because we had money to do it, but that won't scale. Okay, and that won't bring out a product that customer will love. Okay? So we have to do it, and I always tell team there are ways. If you have an intention and if you put that hard work, you can discover things and move on. Okay?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of instances that happen over a period of time where sheer hard work has brought in magics within Facilio types. For example, we are currently we are into one of the largest building in the world. We were only dreaming that we will go there after a few years, but we are already sitting there, and it was sheer hard work that we even got an entry into that thing. I can't name that, but so one is the next advice is look at long term, and you have to put in real hard work. Even though you have a lot of genius into it, but that hard work pays over a longer period of time.
Nothing can substitute for hard work. And
Yep.
like you said, it's all about the long-term game. Playing the short-term game, it's a short-term benefit.
Yep.
And high is a short-term high. But it's about putting in that consistency for the long-term game. And that 1% change every single day is which is going to make the real benefit and the real impact going forward and long. Prabhu, this has been absolutely incredible. I got to meet you, hear your story. I got to hear the story of Facilio, and I am very excited to see what is going to come, because I know it's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. I'm waiting to see you in a picture in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Of the hammer standing by the Nasdaq. Taking Facilio public. And so thank you so much for really joining us today and sharing us your journey and the lessons you learned.
Yeah, thank you for talking to us and hearing out our story, and wish you good luck. Thanks for your time.
Sure, thank you.